Hello, everybody. Welcome to TNC Movie Nights, the review. So, this week, Brandon and I went back and forth a little bit, thinking about what would be the best movie to review. There's really nothing big that came out that's brand new. There's really not a whole lot in terms of, big anniversaries. But with all of the stuff that we talked about in our main show, we wanted to focus on the happier side of it. So pretty much the only good thing we talked about was some Spider-Man news. And one of the biggest things was that Jamiee Foxx is coming back. So we figured, why not? So this week, we watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So right off the bat, Brandon, thoughts?
After watching this, I really forgot how much I loved Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I really wish and I hope Tom Holland's Spider-Man can get a little bit more like this. Because right now, the evolution that we've seen was Tobey Maguire was a perfect Peter Parker, super dorky, super nerdy. When he put on the suit, he was kind of just a normal dude. Like, he went from being a nerd to being just a normal guy. He wasn't super quippy and funny. And he had a couple things here and there, like the elevator scene, but it wasn't like fighting a villain making jokes.
Oh, no.
And that's what I love about Spider-Man. And we saw Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man through the evolution be this super quick-witted, always making jokes. And I love that. I really want to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man kind of develop that a little bit more, because his humor, it's kind of there, but a lot of the humor, like in the first film, when the kill mode activated, he's like, no. It was like his own understanding his gadgets and him just kind of being quirky because he's figuring out how to be Spider-Man. Not that he's making a lot of jokes. He's made some really good jokes though, so I will say that.
A lot of the humor with Tom Holland is the innocence behind it, where he's just like, exactly. Hey, I'm just a kid. See, I'm Spider-Man, but I'm really a kid. Hey, guys, I'm young. You're old. Ha ha. But it's because I don't know any better.
Yeah.
Where Andrew Garfield's is deliberate, quick-witted, sarcastic. Mm-hmm. He's really fun. I'm right there with you. I forgot how much I really, really liked him as Spider-Man. Even introducing himself when he knocks on the window the first time we see him with Rhino. And he's just introducing himself. Even when he's not talking to the villains, the first time he saves Jamiee Foxx before he becomes Electro, he's getting them all together, handing him stuff. Lick this, and then he fixes his hair. It's just all so quick. It's that if you blink, you'll miss it sort of thing. But when you're watching it, it's oh my god, he's hilarious. And I'm right there with you, man. I hope that they get a little bit more into that sort of deliberate sense of humor instead of just he's goofy and innocent because he's a kid.
And I do think we could see the evolution to Tom Holland really take that step in the third film, because in the first one we saw I don't know what I'm doing, so it's kind of funny that I'm Spider-Man. And then the next one was you're old. It's I'm a kid, and it was funny. It worked really well. I love those two Spider-Man movies so much.
Yeah.
Maybe in the third movie, they'll take the humor to the next step of, we're saying, the deliberate cracking jokes at the villains or any sort of enemies that he's going up against. So, but yeah, honestly, I forgot how good Andrew Garfield was as Spider-Man. But I also forgot how much I'd never liked his Peter Parker. Because
he doesn't turn it off.
No, yeah.
When he's joking with Aunt May, and she's like, your face is filthy. And he's like, I was cleaning the chimney. She's like, I don't have a chimney. He's like, what? Yeah. Super funny.
Love it.
He doesn't really leave that mode. It's either I'm sad or I'm sarcastic, which is the other thing I forgot about this movie. They really beat you over the head with how sad this thing is.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead, the bad guys win, and it's your fault. And you're like, I'm just watching this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But sometimes it works, though. A spoiler alert, by the way. Again, there's always a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, lie. But just to be safe, speaking of sad, the killing of Gwen Stacy, keeping it true to the story, but really for a PG-13 movie, and you just see her just
that thud. Oh
my god! It's like you're watching it happen.
Yeah.
And so kudos to them for like being sad and just showing like the brutal reality of it. And they really stick with that the whole movie, because like the whole way the first one ended was like, don't get Gwen involved. Stay away from her. Keep her out of this. And then they have like this sometimes seemingly forced romantic friction between them, where it's like, I want to be together, but we can't. It's not really what it is, but sometimes you're like, there's bigger things going on here. You didn't need to make this a high school drama. There's like literally superheroes. But then they just did it anyway. And they were like, yeah, bad things will happen to her if you are involving her. And then they involve her, and she just dies. So I give them real props for just sticking to that and not being like, but it's okay, because this is for kids. Nope. Gone.
Yep. Thud. And it's like a nasty thud as well. Every time I see that scene, though, like I genuinely get upset because they did it so well, and you really care about their relationship a lot. It definitely, I don't know, this would be a bad comparison. We just watched this film a week ago. It does feel very Anakin Padme almost. It almost gets cringy. It's right on that border. Good on them for like realizing what they can get to, because it wasn't that bad. There was no moment where I was like, oh, ugh. But oh man, it's like one word away, and I just vomit at times. But yeah, their relationship is great. You know, as we did go into, Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, perfect. It's fantastic. It's everything I want in a Spider-Man. But yeah, the Peter Parker, he just never really turns it off. It's always constant, which, again, someone who likes humor, I like that. Yeah, he's way too cool. And something I thought was really funny, too, in the graduation scene, we have Andrew Garfield, at the time of the filming, was like 26, 27. Because when it came out, I think he was 28. And he's pretending to be a high schooler, where all the other people in the audience look like high schoolers. I really wanted to pay attention to that. And I'm like,
the issue, man.
Yeah, like we have Andrew Garfield here who's like 26, 27. We have Emma Stone at the time. Don't really know how old she was. I want to say 26 maybe. And then we have all these realistic 18 to 20-year-olds. And I'm like, why? I don't get it.
Is he a grad student, like shadowing a teacher?
Yeah.
Wait, why is he giving a speech?
Yeah, and then it's like when he graduates and says, oh, yeah, I'm off to college next year. I'm like, are you sure you're not graduating college? So it's the little things like that definitely suck in the movie at times, you know. Just get the right actors like they did in Homecoming. They did perfect with it. Everyone's realistically like 19 and they're playing 17-year-olds. Cool.
Right.
Perfect. This is another one of those movies that do get a little bit messy, like the original Spider-Man 3, where you're like, wow, there's just a lot of villains going on, a lot of stuff. This one, it kind of gets there too, because they throw Rhino in the first like 10 minutes, they throw him in the last 5 minutes.
Paul Giamatti was a weird choice.
Yeah.
Man.
I love him as an actor, but that is such a weird choice as Rhino. And then they have Electro.
Russian accent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. And then like throughout the whole movie you have Electro, who, rewatching this, outside of the visual, it's really good. Honestly, I thought it was really good.
Except for two very small things, if I'm being kind of a dick.
Okay.
One of them is it gets a little, it's funny enough, they did this in Project Power too, where it's sort of just like this unbelievable extreme, I guess. I don't know, where he's just like a guy who's the most powerful thing in the world and you can't stop me, and then just like they just felt that they did it in a weird way. They never really defined his superpower, so he just could kind of seem a little overpowered at times.
Definitely.
And then he's just like manifesting suits and shorts, and it's like, are you electricity or are you not? And then he's like half flying, half like going through things, and then he's like talking with the lights on the buildings. It's like, what are you, man? Which, I know that's his thing. It it didn't feel super polished. The other thing is it's still Jamiee Foxx, so it kind of falls into that Andrew Garfield thing. It's like you have an objectively cool looking dude with a like. It's hard for him to turn the cool all the way off. It seems like he's trying.
Mhm.
You know, it's like I can tell you're Jamiee Foxx being what you think a nerd is because you've never even been nerd adjacent before. But again, that's me just being pedantic. Other than that, he was pretty solid.
I think my only real, I will agree. I wish they kind of would have fleshed out his abilities, maybe giving us some sort of scene where he's messing around, figuring himself out. Because yeah, at part, like we know it's Electro, we know it's electricity, but there's some stuff he does, and like, does he just control matter? Like,
Right.
is it just electricity? I wish they would have developed him a little bit more for how much screen time he got. They developed him as a person so well, and that's why I even like, this is one of those movies where you're kind of almost rooting for him. You're like, he doesn't want to take all the money in the world. He doesn't want to rule the world. He doesn't want to kill people. He just wants people to notice him. And they build up his character so well that everyone just doesn't notice him. People are always bumping into him. His birthday, he's getting made to work late. Spider-Man finally notices him. And this is kind of the slight issue I have, but I kind of get it. It went so quick from Spider-Man is a god to me to I got shot by a policeman up in the building. I hate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was a quick flip, but I get it because Spider-Man, he didn't remember his name and stuff. So there was a little bit of leading up to it.
And he thought he set him up. So it's like, oh my God, wait, you just like snap. I loved you. Now I hate you. So I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's one thing that I'm leaning to more your side than defending them, but it's not so bad that I can't be like, okay. People are different. Maybe that's how he reacts. Okay.
And honestly,
he's a man of extremes.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have loved to see them where Spider-Man doesn't remember his name and he's like, well, I'm going to make you remember my name. And then he's about to fight him. And then he gets shot. And he's like, Spider-Man's like, no, let's figure this out. Then he gets shot. Then he just turns to flip. Like flips the switch. I hate myself. I even kind of enjoy a lot of the electricity puns in the movie. They weren't too cringy like Mr. Freeze. But like when he's fighting Spider-Man the first time in, I think, Times Square or wherever that setting is, where he's like, I'm going to light my candles. And like, it wasn't too ridiculous, but it was like, oh, electricity. It's his birthday. Okay. So it's the little ones like that I'm kind of okay with. So I did really enjoy a lot of those different ones there. But yeah, they did, as you mentioned, kind of showed his overpowerness, where they walk at the later half of the movie, they walk into the building with the guy who retook over Oscorp, just kills him, just points his finger and he's dead.
And like flicks and the whole desk like explodes out of the room.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? Did you shock it? Did you shock the wood to explode?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's like, can you control matter? Or is it just electricity?
Yeah.
But that's something that I think this movie just committed to a little bit. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It felt a lot more like a comic book superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like it felt a lot, that sort of little sense of ridiculousness that goes to it. Even like some stereotypical tropes, like unrealistic cartoonish things, like when he's first walking and he's just got blueprints streaming out everywhere. Like, that's not how people walk, but that's how they walk in comic books.
Yeah. When
you go from super nerd to super villain, you don't all of a sudden become a sarcastic quip machine, but in the comic books you do. So they kind of committed to that. They kind of had other things, like when Spider-Man was like being quippy with Rhino the first time we see him, and then he's just like, whoop, and then he has to dodge out of the way because he's going to get shot. Meanwhile, he's like crashing into 3 cars, T-boning them and destroying. It's like, people were driving those cars.
Yeah.
You're just like, and it's like, you just like vehicular homicided 3 people while you were getting in a solid jab. Like, maybe stop the truck and then be funny. But in the comic books, you can do that. So that's something I think they just kind of leaned into, is making it a little bit more outlandish and cartoonish. And one little one that always bothers me, it's again going in line with those stereotype things that you see in movies all the time when he's like gargoyling on top of a building at Gwen for like too long, like uncomfortable amount of minutes.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and a half a second later, she's just like, huh? Nothing's there.
Yeah.
Go walk outside on a normal day when you're not like all COVIDed up. Just try to count how many times you just look at the tops of buildings randomly just because you think something might be there. It's never, because that's how people walk. It's like this, not like this. So it just doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary and it feels forced.
It's really funny because when I watched that scene, I thought, like, why did she even look up? And there's a couple different things I had with it. And it's funny because I go to Planet Fitness probably on average once a week at least. And I just for the first time realized there are fans that are right above me. Because I don't look up.
You don't live your life like this.
I never look up. And it's little things like that.
To New York? I haven't, but I know the buildings are really tall.
Yeah.
You don't just... How many people would walk around with, like, cricked necks all the time? If you were just, like, randomly glancing up at all the skyscrapers?
Yeah. So it is little things like that. Now, after rewatching this movie and remembering how bad Spider-Man 3 was, and then watching this, all I could think is, how is there not a third? Like, this wasn't terrible. It did box office well. Why was there not a third?
I can't remember if Andrew Garfield failed a little too soon or it was just vaguely a critical flop. It didn't like blow anybody's hair back or anything like that. And then they spent a little too much time trying to set up a multiverse or a universe or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like they're introducing the Sinister Six way too much in this movie. And also, God, I sound like I hate this movie. I don't hate this movie, but there are parts that really get on my nerves. Just it's all the common sense stuff. Like, why is she looking up at buildings? Why, for like 10 years, does Peter not realize his calculator that's full of coins is like 11 pounds heavier than every other calculator he's ever held until he throws it and like $30 worth of change comes out? How do you not notice that?
Or even just moving and just hearing the ching, ching, ching.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not cotton balls, man. It makes a noise. It's got some weight to it. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't know. The guy who plays the Green Goblin, I really liked him for the first half. I really, really hate his stupid tantrum voice. It's very, like, it reminds me of the sad boy Anakin.
Reminds me of sad boy Anakin.
Betrayed me!
Yeah.
Yeah, and did I steal your cookie too? Because you sound like a 9-year-old. So annoying. And I'm sorry. There's one other thing about him specifically, and it's him, and I realized it while I was watching this, him and Leonardo DiCaprio are the same way, where it's like, you guys are objectively good actors, but I never, ever, ever forget that you are an actor when I'm watching you. Mm-hmm. Other actors could be big and famous, could be whatever movies. You can kind of get lost in it and like, oh, this is a character. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, it's still The Rock or whoever it is. Mm-hmm. And he's not even that great. But it's like, you're a good actor, but I always know it's you. It's like you're on a stage performance instead of like trying to be lost in a character. And so that's one thing where, especially when he's doing that little, it's like, all right, calm down there. Is someone holding a cue card? Are you really reading off the script and you're just committing to it to really land that role? I don't know. It's like the cringy audition tape sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I can definitely get it. And honestly, I think he's a good actor, and I think he does really good in a lot of parts of the movie. But just his character design, the development of him, just the whole, like, I'm so sad. Like, it's like his hair and having to do the emo boy. It felt very Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3. And then did that. Stupid. Yeah. It was, I mean, again, I get it because they're trying to make them seem like they're all 18 years old sort of thing. And they're just trying too hard. So I don't know. It was definitely just kind of goofy at that part.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy the movie a lot, honestly. I forgot how much I liked it. I really, really forgot how much I liked that movie. But yeah, there were just some... Yeah, there's definitely parts, though, where I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of understand. And at the time, though, again, I think the first Spider-Man might have come out when Andrew Garfield was like 26, 27 when he was working on it. So he was probably like early 30s when this came out. I'm really curious about his age now.
I'm also curious how they're going to bring Electro back because he kind of exploded.
See,
but they can kind of make it up.
I was going to say, I really think him exploding was just, I don't know how to put it best. The electricity in his body got scattered across like the network or however you want to say it. And once it makes its way back together, he's Electro again. That's kind of how I saw it.
It's like exploding Deadpool.
Thank you.
All the pieces work their way back there.
Exactly. Andrew Garfield.
Didn't he? This is totally off topic, but didn't Deadpool once repair himself from like a single cell or something like that?
I believe so. He's 37. So.
Whoa.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in 2014. So 6 years ago. So he was 31.
Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire? I can look that too.
Yeah. Are we about to have some like Spider Gramps over here?
Might. How old do you think Tobey Maguire is?
41, 42.
45. He's 45, and the first Spider-Man came out in 2002. Spider-Dad. Oh, man. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Tobey Maguire. I also love that, too, because I think one of the big reasons Spider-Man 4 didn't happen was, one, Spider-Man 3 didn't do well, and they're like, Tobey Maguire is too old. Let's make a new Spider-Man franchise. So let's get someone a little bit younger. What? The thing I love, you could take Tom Holland's age, multiply it by 2, and he's still younger than both of them almost. Oh, no. Actually, wow, Tom Holland is... he's almost born nearly the same day as me, June 1st, 1996. He was 27 days... Wow, he was 27 days older than me. That's crazy.
I'm older than Spider-Man.
Wow. It's going to be fun, though. You know, another reason we wanted to do this is because there's a lot of talk about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire both returning for...
And Kirsten Dunst, too. Saw that was rumored.
Really?
She might be coming back as Mary Jane. Yeah, I just saw that this morning. She is not confirmed, but officially rumored to be in talks to return. What does that mean? Anything can happen. But, yeah. She is in talks to return as Mary Jane. So
I would love to see her back as Mary Jane, and that Emma Stone comes back as Gwen Stacy. Well, actually, she can't come back as Gwen Stacy.
She's a little... It's just a stain on the floor. Gwen.
It just shows like the credits and stuff, and you just see like a pile of blood, and it's just Gwen Stacy. It's like,
oh no! What's gonna happen is you're gonna have the Mary Janes with the Peter Parkers, and there's gonna be Andrew Garfield holding his own hand, just looking for Gwen. Be like, I don't even know who Mary is. I haven't met her yet in my universe.
He'll be holding like a jar of cremated ashes.
That's awful.
All right. Whew. Move on from that one. But I'm really excited to see if we do get a Spider-Verse. And I think it is kind of smart too if they jump on this, because the Flash movie for DC, they're wanting to do their Flashpoint, which is going to be this multiverse dimensional thing that they want to do there. And if Marvel can beat them to it, I think that'll be a really big leg up, because, you know, there's those people out there who aren't like superhero fans who are going to go into going to see Flash and they'll see Spider-Man because they like those movies, but they're not going to know the backstory. They're just going to be like, that's weird, DC copied Marvel with this whole dimensional thing. So I'm really excited to see what they do. I'd love to see it done well and quick if possible, because Tom Holland...
They can do it with 2 movies. They can do Spider-Verse,
cool.
and they can do Doctor Strange Multiverse.
Yeah.
They can introduce it in one franchise and then really hammer it home in the other. Yeah. So that way it doesn't feel like it's coming out of nowhere. Like the Flashpoint movie, that's going to be like, for people who aren't aware of the idea, it's like, whoa, wait, multiverse? But if you can kind of introduce it, like, you know, have Doctor Strange talking to Tobey Maguire, And then you can be
Goodness.
like, oh my God, they introduced it. That's so cool. You don't have to explain it away. You don't have to take 20 minutes to open up a portal or anything. You can just be like, okay, we know that there is a multiverse out there in which that they can communicate with the other Spider-Man. And then you can just roll with that for the whole Spider-Man movie.
I know I brought it up on the show before, but you do know who is doing Doctor Strange 2, yeah?
Yes.
Sam Raimi.
Yes.
And I would love, if we do get a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man cameo in that movie, I might flip out as much as I did when Spider-Man made his introduction to the MCU of flipping over, taking the shield.
That's pretty cool.
One of my favorite scenes in any movie. And, man, if we get that, that might be my favorite scene that we'll ever see. Just the 20-year crossover.
Oh my God.
Yeah. By the time that movie comes out, it'll be 20 years from the first Spider-Man movie. The first one came out in 2002. This movie will not be coming out until 2022. It'll be a 20-year cameo.
Jesus, man.
Talk about dedication.
Talk about 50-year-old Spider-Man. They better not make a sequel of Multiverse. He's gonna have to like web himself a cane and then just. I'm the Spider. What's this?
Just takes a nap. To make a time.
They can introduce some Peter Porker and just go off the rail.
Yeah, just taking a weird direction at that point. It's gonna be a good time. I'm really happy we did this movie, honestly, because again, both of us went back and watched this. Going into watching this, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be not as bad as Spider-Man 3, but still really bad. I watched it and I'm like, wow, this is really good, minus the weird Green Goblin thing that's going on.
I remember clicking it on and being like, oh, this is the one that sucks. And then afterwards I was like, that one had some not awesome moments, but that movie didn't suck at all. I actually kind of liked it.
I'm really sad they didn't make a third, but I get it because Tobey Maguire would have been like 31, 32. No, 34-ish. Yeah. Andrew Garfield, thank you. So it just wouldn't have added up. You know, they would have to skip a little bit more in the future and stuff to go from there, which, I mean, they could have done a 5-year skip kind of thing. Now the Sinister Six is a thing. Gwen's dead, so he needed time to cope. They could have done whatever. They really could have.
But they didn't.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments or just tweet at us, message us on Facebook, what you want to see out of the multiverse in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you want to see both of them in the movie? You know, we mentioned it on the previous show. If you've not watched it, go ahead and check out our Damn You COVID episode of TNC Movie Nights. And let us know what villain, side character, main Spider-Man you want to see in the MCU again. Before we end it, what was the biggest miss in this movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2? What was your biggest, like, damn, would have loved to see that, would have loved to see a cameo, would have loved to see a little more character development here or there? What was it?
For me, the biggest miss was making the Green Goblin completely unlikable.
Okay.
Where it was like, he's just sad, Harry, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh God, you're just an annoying little brat. And this stupid little laugh that he... It's like, quit trying, man.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of lost me. And it sucks because that could have been such a killer moment where it was like, holy crap, the Green Goblin is here. Mm-hmm. He's going to establish the Sinister Six. They gave us 2 teasers with the Doc Ock arms. Yeah. And by not showing that in this, you could have people's minds get blown and be like, I can't wait to see Doc Ock in the third one. But then they just made him completely unlikable, and then they exploded Electro before we could really care too much about him. The fight scene was pretty cool, though. But yeah, I think the biggest miss would be the transition from Harry to the Goblin. How about you?
Not doing the trio and not having J. Jonah Jameson in this one.
For real,
If they would have had him in this one the whole time, as soon as he would have shown up in Tom Holland's Spider-Man, everyone was like, he's the key. He's a Skrull. He's like something of J. Jonah Jameson is in all the movies, and that connection would have been insane. because he's in.
Did they name drop him though?
They did, yeah, they did with
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I know. Like he might not see him on screen or something. That's how I want to see like the catalyst of all of them be like, wait, J. Jonah. Like they all know who J. Jonah Jameson is, and that just connects it all. Yeah, he's like Spider-Man's. Like
his assistant walks in with those the blood pressure pills from the OG series, and sees all 3 Spider-Men there, and they all recognize her, and they're just like, uh-oh. And then right there they get busted, and then he just has to blow his cover.
It's gonna be a fun time. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. They might not go that crazy and fun with it, but again, let us know in the comments what you would like to see happen in the 3rd Spider-Man of the Tom Holland universe, how you want to see them all wrapped together, and maybe even what's going on with Doctor Strange as well. But that's going to do it for us this week with our Amazing Spider-Man 2 review. Again, if you did not catch it, go ahead and check out our Damn You COVID episode of TNC Movie Nights that was released on Wednesday. Alex, where can the people find us?
Brandon, the people can find us on the Facebook, on the Twitter. If you're watching us, you can find us on the YouTube. If you're listening to us, you can find us on the everywhere you could possibly listen to us. Thanks, Anchor. Go check us out. Check out our website. It's great. thenerdchambers.com. If you want to support us visually, get some sweet merch. Love it. Comfy. Fabulous. Chic. It's just fun. I like it. But yeah, check us out. Let us know what you think. Like Brandon said, feel free to chat with us, tweet at us, comment, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is. You'll find us. But that'll do it for us. This guy's Alex. That guy's Brandon. Later.